Hello and welcome to Natsukashii, the old anime club. Today I'm joined by Shabes. Say hello.
Hello.
And this is me, your host, Kor, and we're going to be talking about Cipher the Video. This is a pretty fascinating and short OVA that came out in 1989. It's quite the experience. One of us,
super good.
yeah. I myself am coming into it as someone with no experience or any familiarity with this OVA.
Yeah,
But Shades
you've
here
just seen it
has
like
seen it
20
multiple
minutes ago.
times.
You just finished it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You want to jump in with a brief overview of what
Sure.
it is
Yeah,
exactly,
so
because it's pretty fascinating.
what is Cipher the Video? Cipher the Video is an experience. I don't want to say it's a story-driven anime or or even much of a character-driven one. It's really a showcase of it's funny. I can't even call it a showcase of animation because there isn't that many
It's
good
a
animation
showcase of still
shots in it
frames,
either.
yeah.
It's got a fire soundtrack. It's a showcase of a soundtrack that they took from other people that I think they got the rights to one of the songs. So yeah, this sounds pretty confusing already, and that's okay because I think that's the best word to describe this OVA is delightfully confusing.
All that matters is that you can now list Phil Collins under your favorite anime staff positions on Map.
This is true. This is very true. Phil Collins provides the opening theme as well as the ending theme. It's the same song. If you're familiar with, it's not like "Take a Look at Me Now," but like that's what he sings in like the chorus. In this, so yeah, I would say that the best way to describe this OVA is a time capsule from 1989. Like it captures that period perfectly in a realistic way, not like in a homage way. Like if you watch something like Dirty Pair Project Eden, that's like quintessential 80s. Like if you like 80s anime, that's the kind of the holy grail for me at least. But if you want like an accurate representation of what New York was like in like 1999 or what the kind of American culture sort of zeitgeist felt like a little bit, but just interpreted through the lens of Japan, from their perspective, then this is it. It's got a lot of very interesting quirks about it, and it's quirks in a way that I think make it admirable and not necessarily hold it back. For one thing, it has no Japanese audio, so like people will say, "Don't watch Garzy's Wing unless it's the dub." The dub makes it right. Or don't watch Ghost Stories. The Ghost Stories it has a sub, but it's not at all worth recommending or even that remarkable until you watch the infamous English dub. For this, you just don't have a choice. There's no avoiding an inferior audio track. This was dubbed into English and then animated over from English with Japanese subtitles so that it can be released in Japan. The reason we know that it was done this way, that it was voiced first by English-speaking actors and not just Japanese people they pulled off the street, but also that they recorded it first and then animated over it. We know this because it's a 40-minute OVA, but the actual animation lasts like 33 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes or so is a behind-the-scenes look at the making of this video, but it was made like attached to the video, so it was like done right away, which I don't think I can say about literally any other anime out there.
Yeah, it is an interesting experience. So like the first half is pretty much entirely right within the interview portion of the second half, they describe what they were going for, which is this MTV style. So not only is there's an ad, a fake ad in it, and it's like telling the story of like these two twins, one who is a film actor, and it's told through a series of music videos, and then interspersed are little clips of like this viewer like interviewing the actors that are on this fake movie, like within the story. And then of course, after we get this already pretty meta like storyline that's told in a way that makes it even more interesting, we follow that up with them literally like breaking down the process of constructing the first 20 minutes that you just saw. So you see clips of them like they talk a little bit about their process like of like just coming up with the idea of like making it, and then they talk about how they went to Japan and they show like little shots of like the source.
Like they went on location to New York.
Yeah.
From like '89 and everything. So they show you that footage of them going on location, which I'm
which
happy
is
they did.
Live action footage, by the way.
No,
in case that wasn't
exactly.
clear.
Yeah, and they show all like the identical shots. They kind of give you a side by side comparison. Like this is the shot in the anime, and this is the shot that we based it off of. They give you a series of that, and a lot of different locations. There's a sequence where they are showing some clips from a mall that they later adapt. And that mall, I was watching with a friend of mine who grew up in New York, and he's like, if that's the mall I think it is, that mall closed in like 1990, 1991 or so, and this was filmed like maybe 2 or 3 years before that. So like that, the thing that they're filming doesn't even exist anymore. So it's incredibly interesting time capsule, especially so like the very first shot in this OVA is right in the center, Twin Towers, right there.
Yep.
And that it's kind of like doesn't age very well, unfortunately, through no fault of the animation, but it's just kind of awkward, to start your movie like that. But the reason they did that was because it was kind of what symbolized New York for them. They're like, no matter where you go in New York, that they're always there. You can always see them, and that comes across when they're showing shots of New York. A lot of the times, it's just the Twin Towers in the background. And surprisingly, and this I only actually noticed this like from watching it just now after like I think this is my 6th time watching it. The Twin Towers are a motif for the twins that they have, and this is confirmed during the behind the scenes look. It's being narrated by the guy who voices both of the twins actually, Sheba and
he voices
and
both of
Jay.
them.
And he said at one point, they referring to the Twin Towers, I'm the one with the antenna. so it's referring to like the twins being reflected as the Twin Towers.
And I think even if it can be a touchy subject for some people, it's kind of like you have to look at it the same way you look at it when you're reading like classical English literature, which often will make like just passing lighthearted references to slaves. Like it's just a picture of what life was like at that time.
Yeah, completely
and this is
unadulterated
a much
time
less
capsule.
Egregious example too.
There's no part in the OVA that kind of tries to like look into the past necessarily, unless it's the past of the two characters. But even then, it doesn't really age itself in terms of like, oh, it's looking back in the 60s or something. It's squarely in 1989, turn of the decade feeling. And it kind of reflects in the color palette is very dull, kind of washed out. The designs are very late 80s, early 90s, like kind of phasing out of that roundish shape and kind of coming a little more realistic. And yeah, it's kind of OVA quality in turn. I guess I shouldn't say that, but low on the lower end of physical animation. Like I don't think there's any egregiously bad animation in it, but it's certainly not impressive. Like you're not going to see any of these cuts on Sakugaboru, though.
Oh no!
From what I was told, the soundtrack is on Sakugaboru. I couldn't find it myself, but Like I looked afterwards after I was told that, but apparently the soundtrack is on that site. But obviously they don't have any cuts of it because it's not much to say really.
Yeah, it's I I mean for me like watching this it kind of felt like I can't remember what that the first half at least like um I what's the name of that from the studio that the claymation animation studio it did Wallace and Gromit.
I'm not sure of the
But
studio, but I'm familiar with the studio you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. Before they did Wallace and before they were doing that, Wallace and Gromit and some other stuff, they did a TV like a short, and it was I can't remember if it was before or after, but it was around that time.
Hmm.
And basically what they did was they interviewed a bunch of people in the area. I think this is like around Yorkshire. And then they like redid they animated the interviews, set the interview audio to animation, claymation animation of like animals at the zoo.
Yeah.
Like anthropomorphized. I can't pronounce words.
Anthropomorphized.
Animals.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
And the sort of like you know the cadence of the speech when people aren't like trying to act is like set to this animation that is not that feels like it's like this weird mix, and that's how I felt about Cipher. Like it's like because the way they talk is really goofy, but in a way that's like not like unrealistic, but it's like not like trying to act. It doesn't feel like they're trying to like act, even though they are.
Yeah.
It's
It's
weird.
an incredibly.
It's so weird.
It's
Like I can't
incredibly
tell if
surreal.
these people are great actors or terrible actors.
Right. Right. Because yeah, you don't know if like what he's saying. Like sometimes it, there's some lines where they're clearly because this is very weird because the majority of the dialogue, I would say that the bulk of the dialogue is in the format of an interview, like a televised interview.
Yeah.
And the way that they're talking very stiff and performative is very similar to what normal interviews would be like. So, like, if you were interviewing actors or directors for a movie, the way they're talking in this OVA is kind of similar to how they would be talking in like a real life uh, interview type situation, right? And then the way that they're acting, some of the dialogue in this corny movie that takes up like a whole chunk of the middle of the animation part. It's based around this movie called Winning Tough, and it's a
Yeah.
football. It's a real teens flick. And it's like football. High school geeky kid goes into high school and has like a romance with some of the one of the girls or whatever. It takes place in like Miami or whatever, or California. Oh yeah, set in California. It's a real man's flick. That's kind of how they pronounce they interpreted it. But yeah, when you think about it, it's like yeah, it's kind of stiff, but it's exactly what they would be doing in this situation. So you can't really fault them for it. It's actually like kind of accurate and
Yeah.
decent.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But then it's obviously it's incredibly jarring because it's animated, right? And again, not all that well. So
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
weird, man.
I mean I will say I really like the character designs actually.
Yeah.
Particularly I can't remember her name.
She
The
didn't have
the
one. The OVA did not never gave her a name.
Well,
Well, maybe
I think
maybe in
they
the
named
credits.
her,
I think
didn't
this.
they? What the actress girl?
Oh
Because
yeah.
I think there's in the intro sequence they list their names, but this whole thing like moves so fast and they don't really say each other's names hardly ever, so it's hard to
Right.
latch onto
Yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But yeah, because I like this its aesthetic a lot, where it's not so like blobby cartoonified, but it's not quite on the other end where it's
It's not
the hyper
stylized.
real '90s look.
Yeah.
It's staunchly in the middle. I kind of miss this style. I wish there was, it would make a bit of a resurgence.
I think the blonde girl with the "Let's hear it for the boy" sequence is super cute. and I really
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
really like
totally.
it, and it's super charming. Watching like this particular here for the boy sequence, and they're just dancing and giving the info dump of the
Oh yeah,
character.
yeah. That was like my. I think that's my favorite part. That part like just made me happy. I was like, I want to dance too now.
Yeah, it just
Insert me into
definitely, and
this
it's super
show.
chill. Um,
Yeah.
and like I would want to watch like a whole series like that where it's just kind of like goofy
Yeah.
hijinks.
I would watch a whole series about them, and that would be the opening theme to
Yeah,
this show.
exactly. But you wouldn't be able to make it anymore, right? Because like I don't know, it wouldn't be the same. Um, I think this is but it's so perfect that like it was made the same year that it's really
Hmm.
trying to embody, because I think that happens a lot, right? Where it's more of the new stuff that tries to like, sorry, it's more of the new stuff that tries to like look into the past, right? That makes like a 90s homage. Like you think of Ready Player One coming out soon. Um,
Yep.
you think it's trying to capitalize on that 80s 90s nostalgia. Um, but I love it when there's properties that really embrace the current media culture, I guess. I think there's plenty of people right now who would probably be averse to a movie um, trying to capture what Twitter is like, what scrolling through YouTube is like, or what that culture feels like. But then, I don't know. It's that kind of
This is why the Emoji Movie is a modern masterpiece.
yes, indeed. But then you think of like the vintage YouTube poop from like 2006 or 7,
Hmm.
and it doesn't know it doesn't realize that it's capturing something. It's capturing a zeitgeist, in that way that it's like that's what the culture was like back in 2006,
Right.
2007.
And I think a key part of what makes this work and what makes those things that do capture the time so well work is that it's there's a very intimate sensation to it. Like the problem with when big blockbusters try and latch on to what's popular and it gets completely panned is because ultimately in being so corporate it really misses the core of what makes any one time period have a certain like character to the way it's reflected in media and in people's feelings. And the thing about Cipher is like they go through like the staff and it's clearly like a very small team and the director had like a very clear vision for what he was trying to make, which I
Yeah.
think makes it work really well.
It's really an honest effort. It's kind of it's they're being earnest about it. They didn't make it for uh for profit or just because it would sell.
Yeah, I want to know like who greenlit this? Like how did
Well,
this get made?
if you look on
It's
Mal,
such a strange
the
project.
production committee, so like kind of the people that sort of okayed this is Osamu Dezaki. He is on the credits for
Oh,
this thing, and is kind of the reason it's made. One of the reasons he approved of it. Isn't
that's
that
really
insane?
interesting.
One of the
Production
greatest
manager, I
anime
see.
directors ever, at the very least in TV, but you could also argue in movies. Um, yeah, let this happen, and I think there's plenty of people.
You
Yeah,
did
I think there's
this.
plenty of people that would give it like 1 out of 10, 3 out of 10, whatever. But like I kind of hope that this down the line gets some more people into it. They discover it, and
Oh
it
yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
becomes the new Garzy's wing. I think it becomes. I think it would. I think it's a much. I think it's a much more wholesome example of a kind of a so bad it's good kind of thing. Um, but I hate use.
See, I don't even think I would say it's so
Right.
bad it's good. Like I think it's just a genuinely
That's
enjoyable
what I mean too. Yeah.
experience. Like
I,
it's not really it's not try that's the difference I think between something that's just like a different type of experience that's still enjoyable and a so bad it's good type of show, because usually the key thing with So Bad It's Good is that in trying so hard to express one, particular like feeling or character, they fail horribly. And it's like the
I see.
failure of it, the failure to
And
express
and
something
we were
that
talking about how this
that conveys
yeah.
the humor. But in this case, I don't think they failed to express anything that they were going for. It feels very much to me like they conveyed everything that they had set
and
out
it just
to
so
do.
happens that like it's so bizarre and different from what we would expect from anime as a medium, that like it kind of becomes jarring, and it's like, wait, what what was this? And you're just kind of sitting behind and just baffled at what you watched, really. I was gonna say something. Crap.
I mean, I would bring up there's I can't quite recall what it was from, but it just like this discussion made me think of it. I had been watching like a Digibro video or something, and someone had asked him about, I think it was like a live stream or whatever, and someone had asked him like about his like guilty pleasure or thought on guilty pleasures. Oh, now I remember. It was in his video where he was responding to comments on his SEO video. And he was like, I don't really like the term guilty pleasure because for him it really just means that you like something in a different way. So you don't really know how to like describe it because you like it in a different way
conventional means.
How you're used to feeling about things. Yeah, and that's how I feel about this. It's like I like it in a different way than I like a standard show.
I feel you.
I mean, the way I would describe Cipher is it's very much an aesthetic experience. It's meant to be like taken in, you just sort of you enjoy the flow of it all. I mean, with all the music, and it's like watching a really long music video that also happens to have a behind
I would
the
say
scenes
that
at the end.
For me, it's better than very conventional stuff like Bible Black or Garzy's Wing or Ghost Stories, because I think a lot of people think those shows or series are so funny because they've seen clips of it, right? And there's some people that experience Cipher through clips. But for me at least, if you watch Garzy's Wing all the way through, it's really boring for the majority of it. Yeah, the first episode is really packed with those memorable one-liners and laughably bad stuff. But then there's episode 2 and 3. And there's maybe like 2 jokes that you might still pick up. But for the most part, at least for me, it's really boring. And it's not worth sitting through. It's not worth actually watching.
Right.
Like, I think there's a lot of people that watch anime through proxy. Like, they kind of like enjoy Nichijou from the clips they've seen. They enjoy Gintama from the clips they've seen. But not necessarily watching the episode start to finish.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I definitely agree with you. And there are some shows that I genuinely think actually like just work better in that like way of experiencing it, which you're right, colors people's like perceptions of the show itself.
Well, the highlights,
like not taking it
exactly
into like sections, just a highlight reel. Whereas this, it's got it's brief, it's got its brevity.
Yeah, it has its
doesn't
low
overstay
points,
its
but
welcome. It's just long enough to
to have a complete. It's
across.
very short. I like it. I like its length a lot. And like I said, I think that I think I may have mentioned this earlier, but like, I mean, I have some problems with it where like I personally think that it kind of dips in engagement in kind of the middle portion where they're doing a montage of the movie they're in. Then they're playing Footloose, and like at least Footloose is playing, and it's pretty cool. But it's sort of the similar. It's very similar shots, kind of repeated a few times, and just kind of mixed.
Yeah, I think the problem with that is like, it's like they do a montage to Footloose of like the movie scenes. Then they have an interview sequence.
Yeah,
where,
they're talking about it.
They're doing an interview with the lead actor Shiva. And then they do another montage.
They kind
with
of
Footloose
they keep chopping it up and interrupting itself, and then it keeps going, and
it
feels very long and weird, kind of in a. not in a good kind of weird, right? So like there's good weird and bad weird.
Right.
For me, I think that there's kind of nuance where like there's things that take me out of the experience and things that I don't think the OVA wants me to think. And then there's things that I think the OVA wants me to obsess over and wants me to remember. And that's the good kind of weird. You know what I mean? I think it's a matter of intention.
Right.
Which I think you're right in that in terms of the intention, which I'm very grateful that this behind the scenes thing exists at the end of it, because you get that context and you get the approach. They literally tell you the approach that they went for instead of kind of walking away from it and being like, I don't know what I just watched. Anime's weird, you know? like that experience happens way too often. You know what I mean?
But that's why we love it.
Yeah, that's one reason. That's certainly one reason.
I want to touch on this OVA's director because he is certainly a character. I mean, even from the scene, he's like a kind of a funny looking guy. Like the way he dresses, the way he does his hair, like he looks exactly like the type of person I would have imagined to direct this. And then I went and I checked, I looked over some of the works he's done. And along with Cipher, he also directed 2 seasons of Initial D, Battle Stage 2 and Fourth Stage. Or I'm not sure if those are seasons or like movies or whatever, but 2 Initial D projects. And then also, he's just directed some hentai, you know? He's just done it all.
Yeah. I couldn't catch that last one after
A man
Initial
of many
D.
talents.
What was that thing you said after Initial D?
Huh?
What was that thing you said after Initial D?
Hentai. He's done hentai.
A bunch of hentai, yeah. I believe, I don't remember who said this, but somebody, at least in the chat that I was simul watching this with at one point, or I read it somewhere else, I'm not sure, but I believe they intended this to be a hentai at one point. And you have those undertones. You have those undertones a little bit with
wow, I did not pick up on that at all.
Well, I noticed you didn't have much of a reaction to this, but I think one of the things that kind of makes this one a little infamous, there's 2 separate scenes of the twins kissing each other.
Yeah, I was like, what?
There's twincest.
No, I did react. I was just like confused.
Oh, you didn't?
Because they don't really establish their relationship, so I'm like,
no, they don't.
Wait,
no, it just sort of happens. There's like a cutaway shot of them suddenly kissing. One of them's kissing the other on the bed or whatever, and there's no preparation. There's absolutely no context. It just happens, and I remember like. Usually when I'm watching this with other people or like whatever, like they have this big over the top like what, you know, it hits you right in the gut, you know. And then the other one, I think for me, it's a very subtle like kiss that they have like after they greet each other good morning, but they greet each other in easily the best part of the whole OVA is just one of them is standing over the other's bed. And he's just standing there for a good, like, 30 seconds. And the guy wakes up, and he's just like, yeah. And the guy goes, yeah. It just one after another. And like,
it's a poetic moment, really.
What? Yeah.
I just love that, like, because the one brother gets woken up by the cat, like, going on his face.
Yep.
And he just, like, slaps it aside, and the cat just flies off the screen. There's like no sound effect. It just like bye.
Yeah. Super cute cat though. It's like really fat and it has like a bow tie. Very good. Very primo. Yeah though. Oh man. And there's just so many crazy shots and you pick up more and more things as you watch it. And that's another good merit to it, I think. I think with like other shows, I feel like there isn't much merit to rewatching some of these. Once you get the one joke, it's kind of haha. But I think it gets funnier as the more you watch it and like kind of be ready for the twists. And then I personally love watching it with other people just to see their reactions to like when so like they have the first. I shouldn't spoil, I guess, for those people who haven't seen it yet and might want to check it out afterwards. But it's like the sequence between the first and second song, like that transition you have. It's kind of like very jarring. I love seeing people react to that. It's so funny. And yeah, it's just a lot. It oozes charm for me, and just kind of like unironic, whatever. And I don't think we've mentioned this, that there is a manga. This was
Yes.
so like
Yes.
they do describe what it is bases on. So like 1986 they had a commercial with the main character in like a sports car, and I don't even think they said what they were advertising. I don't even remember what they were advertising.
And that I believe is the first and only appearance of Japanese speaking
Yeah,
in the
in
in the
animation,
first half
right? It was
before
like a
the
Japanese
interview
commercial.
portion.
And they're like, I don't know what happened in between that, but suddenly there was a manga, and she was in the middle of writing it, and then we approved the video, and we're gonna do it. And that's kind of how they delivered.
Yeah, they're just like, yep, we're just doing this thing.
It's like they give you a really good timeline, but then it's just question, 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 profit. You know, it's like one of
Yeah.
those jokes.
I'm really curious, like, how this was received in Japan.
Probably not at
Um,
all. Probably like with very little fanfare.
Not at all. Yeah.
And just, yeah, because there's a metric fuck ton of random ass OVAs that just get buried and forgotten in
Oh,
some of those
I know.
cases. Like it's,
Roger's on the quest to watch every single random
yeah,
obscure OVA in existence.
yeah, right. No, yeah, but there's plenty of stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't think it was very well received. You never know. I mean, look at the. I shouldn't say look at the mouse score, but you know.
Quiet.
It's
Don't
totally
look at
accurate,
the mouse
guys.
score.
It's
Just
a
watch
it's a
it.
really
Just
good gauge.
Trust us.
It's a really good gauge. Mouse, an incredibly effective gauge for the anime community's perception at large. Oh god.
Well, I think the thing is, for like small, more obscure shows too, they tend to have lower scores, not just because it's like people who like people tend to be pretty stubborn towards weird or old anime.
Or the people that are watching it are just that critical. Like,
Yeah, that's the second thing I was gonna say,
yeah,
is
right.
that and also the people who seek out these types of stuff tend to be very like they've
Up
watched
their
a
own
lot of
ass about
stuff
it.
and they're more critical.
And they're
Yeah.
just like, oh, the plot and the characters are not existent.
Well, I think it's more that they use the other numbers in their scoring system besides 6 through 9.
Yeah, that too. That's very fair. Like, they give reasonable scores. Whereas, plenty of other people are just like, it's a 10 out of 10, guys. I loved it. Which,
7 out of 10. It was okay.
yeah, right. There's a lot of people that are like, well, that was reasonably enjoyable. And then it gets like a terrible mouse score in comparison to everything else. And you're like, why? Why, though?
Why?
Yeah. But it's unfortunate. But yeah, like, I read the manga, not all of it, like the first 2 chapters or something, a while ago. But when I first watched this a while ago. And it's really normal. It's really just I think it's yaoi. I think it's like at least shonen ai, you know?
You know, that would explain
Right.
a lot.
Well, yes. But like it was pretty finely drawn and not at all awkward in its writing, and there wasn't any of that quirk to it. So I mean, like if you like, but
Is
like
the whole manga written in English with Japanese
right?
subtitles
Oh
beneath?
yeah. I have no idea. That'd be really weird though. Like who would buy this? Like what? That doesn't make sense. Oh,
Wait, you buy the manga and it comes with an English to Japanese dictionary.
oh, like a drama CD. It was an English audio drama CD. That'd be some shit, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, but it's such an experience, and I love that for me it kind of represents the very wacky experimental OVA old anime. You know what I mean? And just I mean in terms of like tying it into what this podcast kind of is about. It really kind of encapsulates the time that it was made in, and so we can look back on it and be like, well, this is what they were like. Or maybe it wasn't. Or maybe it was an incredibly skewed, like kind of a rose tinted glasses version, perhaps. Or maybe it wasn't. You never know. And I don't know. I think there's something really enjoyable and interesting about it. I love it. I recommend Cipher to a lot of people. I think I have it on as a great. Let me check Kitsu. I'm gonna check my Kitsu to make sure I have it as a great.
A masterpiece.
It's great. Well, yeah, I recommend it. Definitely. Just as an experience of just being like, that was some fucking weird shit. Oh my god. And that's just it. I prefer that over boring. Any day of the week.
Yep.
Like, I just don't want to be bored.
100% with you.
And I'm hoping that a lot of people kind of take that away from their experience of watching anime sometimes. Because sometimes I think that they kind of watch it for the quality of the writing. I'm like, yeah, but was it fun? Was it actually enjoyable? Did it look good? I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, we're not reading books here. This is, there's more to it.
Classic goddamn. No, I haven't.
Go read light novels if you want that.
That was a great. Yeah, right. But yeah, that's something else. But like for me, I watch anime because of it has everything. It has good visuals and directing and anime, art. Like I'm watching Akagi no An. They're literally running through oil paintings. Are you fucking kidding me? I want to watch that. It's got great music. It's got voice performances. And you get the story and characters. Come on.
I just want to say, I don't know. I think that's funny. You're like, it's got great music. It's got voice.
Yeah.
Like, there is speaking.
There's people talking. Exactly. That's what I mean, man.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I mean, to bring things around, I would wholeheartedly recommend it. I mean, I'm a very picky person when it comes to my entertainment. I have no impatience. I have dropped shows that I was like 4 episodes from the finale because I lost interest. So, and this one held me from beginning to end pretty much. So,
it's only 40 minutes, but yeah,
I would definitely recommend watching with friends.
Yeah,
I think it's well suited to that.
Definitely,
but it's a good time.
Yeah,
I really
at least in the point of recording this audio, you can find it on Dailymotion. It's Cipher the Video. That's the full title. If you just look up Cipher, you're just going to get Gravity Falls shit. I'm sorry. That's just going to happen.
You're going to come across some Bill Cipher Lemon.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. But Cipher the Video or the Otaku no Video. You got the good shit. Cipher the Video. There's also the manga, Cipher manga. I'm sure you could find it. I don't know how much of it's translated, if all of it. I'm not sure if all of it's translated.
It seems to have a much larger audience than the OVA itself.
Sure.
At least I checked.
Well, yeah, because it was more. It took itself way more seriously. Like it was an actual kind of like slice of life comedy. Not at all like this, because this was made purely for an entertainment and like experience sort of thing. Like,
yeah, for sure.
You could argue it was for the fans of Cipher, so for Cipher fans, but like you don't have to watch it you don't have to know what the characters are. It's like, oh, that's my favorite character, whatever. You don't have that. You don't need to have that to enjoy this OVA.
Yeah, and funnily enough, we're almost reaching the exact length of the OVA itself. So, hey, if you listen to this podcast and look at that, that's about the same amount of time as it takes to watch the wonderful OVA.
And it will definitely go by 3 times as fast as this podcast did. Yeah,
come on, we're a good podcast.
We are. I would say so. I would say this is refreshing in that way. I had to our own hone, but I would say, I'm saying that's more of a compliment to Cypher than it is a dig on us. Because
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. Suddenly you're done with it. It's an experience, man. It's awesome.
Well, as we wrap things up, I will say the next anime on the list is not decided yet, but when it is, you will find it in the description and posted pinned in the comment section if you want to follow along with what we'll be discussing next. But that is all for now. I have been Kor, your host, and I've been joined by the lovely Shabes of Caribou Coon.
It's good seeing you guys.
And that will be all. Adieu.
Have a good day, everybody.